Hello and welcome to this episode of Organicize Your Life with Musings and Hope. And to kick things off tonight, I have a trick question for you. Game, well, how are you feeling? Now, did you have to stop and give that a think? If you did, I think that is completely perfect. Because you know what I feel about this topic of thinking and feeling? Well, I feel that we are either entirely caught up in our head and we are thinking, or we are completely dissolved in the heart and feeling. And very rarely is there equanimity between thoughts and feelings. Very rarely is there even a dialogue between the mind and the heart. Clearly, through this topic of thoughts and feelings, I have a fantastic SME, an expert, and a beautiful guest with us here tonight, who I am elated to introduce now. So here's bringing on Pragati Sureka.
Thank you, Naviksha. I'm very thrilled to be here. And hello, everyone. So tell me, what would you like to talk about today?
Well, I think to get started here, Pragati, it would be fantastic to learn about you. What are you doing today? What has been your background, your interests, maybe, some of your qualifications, because I do know that you are quite an expert in the field that you practice. So why don't you tell us yourself?
Thank you, Naviksha. I'm actually someone who likes to walk my talk. So I've been a mental health expert for the last 15 years. I've written a couple of books, and also I practice clinically and conduct workshops. I like to help people take personal responsibility for their lives. A lot of times we feel that because of what happened to me, maybe I didn't go to X school or college, or I did not have job opportunities because the children were born, the family was not supportive, or where I am currently, there aren't enough job avenues for what I want to do. So we are constantly ruminating about what is not working in our lives. While that's okay, sometimes it motivates us. Most of the time, what I've seen, that when we take personal responsibility, okay, XYZ is not working, but what is working? I am working. So how can I strengthen myself up? What is my emotional strength? What is it that I can do in the given set of situations? So that is basically what I help people with, to identify their unique strengths and whatever are the avenues that they are struggling with, perhaps how can they let them be or seek help from an expert or transform it? Because what is diamond ultimately? Coal under pressure. So whatever is the coal in your life, something which is really, really triggering you or troubling you at the moment, I want you to take a moment and think about it. What is it that's really challenging? That is the coal in your life, that can actually transform into diamond. Something, which has a lot of feeling, something which makes us feel, God, how will I deal with it? Basically, all our emotions are involved in it. Because what are emotions? Our thoughts in motion. How is my body reacting? Is my breath going a lot faster when I think about an issue? Do I feel like crying? Is it that, my throat feels parched? So when I actually know the coal in my life, I can transform it into a diamond.
So that is amazing, Pragati. You touched on such subtle, yes, yet such profound concepts and thoughts there. This awareness, this intelligence about our emotions and our feelings, right? And
yes,
typically, we are just caught up in the storm of our emotions and feelings, and we're not intelligent about that process. We're not even aware. We're just acting on autopilot, on cruise control, or just based on past experiences and past impressions. So what I'm, hearing from you here is a serenity and awareness, and to be mindful about our emotions, feelings. So Pragati, my curiosity is really invoked here, and I'd love to hear whether this, this knowledge has been amassed by you and has been acquired through personal experiences, and I'm sure a lot of it has, right? Because you did say that you like to walk your talk.
Absolutely.
So in addition, Pragati, have you also formally studied these topics, these sciences?
Yes, absolutely. I am currently doing my PhD in emotional ability resources. And apart from that, I have a master's in clinical psychology as well as in occupational health psychology. So, my journey of education has been quite interesting. I went to a boarding school as a young child where I learned the ethos of discipline, basic camaraderie, and feeling your emotions. You know, when you're in a dormitory, I was in MGD Girls School in Jaipur. When you're in a dormitory with 12 others, you tend to feel all your feelings. At the same time, you learn to regulate. But sometimes when you lose it, you realize it's okay. We are all human, you know. We aren't robots who can be programmed never to lose it, never to be reactive. So I think my early experiences have really, really shaped me. And the ethos of my school used to be do your utmost for the highest. And that is something which I strongly believe in. In fact, the other day I was hearing Louis Hay, who in her 70s was doing something. She was picking up new skills like painting. And I realized age is just a number. So my education has had a profound impact on me. I formally have studied as well as I continue to grow every year. I really believe that as therapists or someone who is in the helping profession ought to do some continued professional development on a regular basis. So I have professional credentials from Harvard Medical School. I attend their yearly conferences on psychology and psychiatry, as well as from the Beck Institute, which talks about, you know, managing your thoughts. Beck Institute is all about what kind of thoughts do I think? Do they help me grow? Are they pits, that is, they bring me down, or are they like pets, small, mushy things which help me grow? And I've also trained at the University of Cambridge, the Psychometric Center, where I've picked up the skills on how to help people identify their unique USPs. So these are some of the things that I've done.
I'm very impressed, Pragati, as I hear and learn of your background, because your soft skills and your emotional abilities are already very evident to me in, you know, in our interactions thus far already. But it is extremely impressive to hear about your very, very credible educational background and your qualifications as well. So, are you practicing this professionally today?
Absolutely. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. So I regularly conduct therapy sessions for individual growth primarily. Apart from that, I take sessions and workshops on emotional ability resources. What are those little things that help you cope with your emotions? Because, like we were talking, I believe our emotions are not good or bad, they're just signals. And I believe, you know, we need to be very light and kind with ourselves, not brand ourselves that, you know, I get very edgy, I get very stressed. That little 5-year old you see who behaves as though the world is, you know, at their feet. If the child is cycling, just cycles around, does not think about what all will happen. So, you know, that light bubbliness that all of us inherently have, I help people reach that spot in them. And
So,
like
you
you
mean
rightly said, it's a journey that I have walked myself. You know, I got back to formal studies, like suddenly doing PhD after my children were born. I had a 10-year gap in the middle, but I just did not stop. I kept transforming myself. When those little coals came out in my life, I always asked myself, what is this situation trying to teach me? Is it somewhere that I'm not untapping my potential? How can I deal with this situation? Do I want to fall into pieces, or do I actually want to build it into something new which will help me grow and make me more happy about my life in general? So that is what I practice usually.
that is such a beautiful and such a powerful visual right there, you know, the choice of either falling into pieces or picking up the pieces and building something whole and something powerful and beautiful with that, right? With the little segments of us and our life. So, in listening to you, it strikes me that perhaps it is not entirely natural to second guess myself all the time, to doubt
Yes.
my abilities, and to somewhere even apply more focus in trying to analyze what other people are thinking about me as opposed to what do I want? What are my ambitions? What are my objectives? Who do I want to be? How can I excel?
True, absolutely. And also what I like, Naviksha, about us today, I feel the world is our oyster. Now we are sitting at opposite ends of the globe, and here we are talking. What binds us together? Our love for life and just reaching out to people and talking about our own journeys. What I've seen is, when we shrivel ourselves, when we feel we are not good enough, we mitigate ourselves. Instead, we have to celebrate whatever we stand for. Any mistakes
Yeah.
we are human at the end of the day.
So it's not about perfection, Pragati, because perfection in itself is such an imperfect concept, because rarely can we perfectly define what perfection is, and even if it manifests, it's going to be so temporary, so transient, because this whole cosmos is ever changing. Nothing is static here, right?
I
So
absolutely
it's
agree.
not about perfection, but what I'm hearing from you is that it is celebrating imperfections, and it is about enjoying the process of bettering yourself and nurturing yourself.
True. Also, it's about, that self-love. Now think about it. Like for example, most of you know about Golgappas on the streets of Calcutta where I'm based. We know it's
Pani
unhealthy.
puri, yum.
Yes, pani puri. Yes. So, it's unhealthy. But sometimes of people of a particular generation, your eyes twinkle about that. If you know how much to have, how to regulate, you
Yeah.
can take care of yourself. Now you may reach an age, or maybe the hygiene standard goes down where you realize just out of an act of self-love, you cannot indulge in it because it's fried or it's something which is just not suitable. So how I look at taking care of my mental health is learn where to draw the line. If you start seeing something that you are really fond of is self-sabotaging you, it could be something as simple as having pani puris or puchka, dependent where you come from. If you need to refrain, lovingly nurture yourself. So do things out of an anchoring of self-love. I love myself, so I want to take care of myself. So I will do certain things and I'll not do certain things. Rather than branding it that it's really good, it's really bad, just become light with your life. Indulge yourself, but in moderation. Enjoy the journey of life.
Just, and most of nobody is a stranger to this concept of moderation, right? To steer clear from excess and to practice moderation, the middle path. I think this concept is, if not well ingrained, we're all well exposed to it. But the way you just described that self-deprivation, nor is self-deprivation, and neither is self-indulgence self-love. Self-love is somewhere in between, trying
Yes.
to figure out what actually works for you and what is better for you.
True. It's
Yeah.
about temperance, because see, right now, as all of us are struggling, there's not a single individual on the planet who has not got impacted. We've all had our finances touched, our health touched, our fear of our loved ones, and our own health. Everything has become a global reality. Now, some of us have managed to thrive in it because we've taken each day as it comes, taken stock of the situations, and minutely moderated whatever we could, whether it's our outings, whether it's some kind of mindfulness practices that we've started doing, whether it's reaching out to a loved one and, making that attempt to keep in touch because we are feeling socially isolated. And some of us have absolutely gone down in the dumps. But the human spirit, see, all of us, both of us talking and whoever is listening to us, at the end of the day, we are all alive. And in our own way, we are facing life. So that's what I want people to remember, that with temperance, with your growing character strength, you will be able to be more skillful at coping with the challenges ahead and day-to-day living.
So, Pragati, then practically speaking, right, how do you go about helping your clients, and who is someone that would approach you? Who is a typical client? What kind of problems do they bring to you? And then if you can share a little with us in terms of strategy and techniques that you recommend.
See, for me, usually people come to me when they are struggling with either a relationship that is not going well in their life, or sometimes when they themselves feel that they are unable to cope up. Something is bothering them. Maybe some missed opportunities which were there, or maybe that sense of failure that they are having. Sometimes it's also some aches and pains because of which the general physician has recommended them on to me. Something which just does not make them feel good about life in general. So when people come to me, basically what they want to do is to feel a little better in their internal landscape. Somewhere they realize that mentally they are not feeling as strong as they could, and perhaps they need some help to unravel their thoughts in such a way that they have clarity on how to move ahead. For example, if a child
Mhm.
has grades, which are falling, sometimes mothers contact me, ki I've been putting in effort, but my child just seems distracted, is constantly on the phone, doesn't seem to care about the basic values that we stand for, and I don't know how to approach the situation. At other times, people, and when I talk to them, I realize that the family system is usually involved. Who else is a gadget person,
Weak.
in the house? Yes, I didn't want to use that.
I
Absolutely.
know.
So, children actually look at role models in and around the house. Much as we like to shift responsibility to the peers, to the environment, we really have to introspect deep within ourselves. What is it that I am doing to show mindful living to my child? Am I actually happy with my life in general? Or am I constantly grumbling about the stressors in my life? Oh, my boss is not so nice. My work is not taking off. My health is not proper, but I'm expecting my child to be like Pollyanna, everything is bright and rosy in my world. It's not going to happen. They pick up the ethos
Yeah.
of the family.
But is there again some middle ground here? Because to play the devil's advocate now, as parents, I think we take on a lot of responsibility. We also take on a lot of guilt. And we're
Yes,
always second guessing ourselves that am I doing my best? Am I doing this right? Am I the right role model? Somewhere I think we need to ease off from that as well, because the pressure just keeps mounting. So much pressure, right? And a lot of it just internal
absolutely.
and self-enforced. So my question here is that in trying to be this most optimal role model for our children, how can we do this with while taking care of ourselves and being kind and gentle to our own self and not beating ourselves up in the process?
That's a very nice question you asked me, Naviksha, because what happens is we get overwhelmed when we stop listening to our inner voice, because we are all very smart. If we actually sat down, we'll be able to manage ourselves, our relationships, and the time. I, in fact, want to read out from my book Musings, because rather than going in depth into what works, what everyone needs is unconditional positive regard. Somewhere, if they have a safe venting space, a therapist who actually can listen without any kind of judgment works the best. If that is not possible, what works is having one solid friend or a family member who listens to you. And I'll actually describe how is it that your listener has to be, so that, it's like a pressure cooker. The pressure cooker needs to whistle to actually cook your food well. So what do you do to stop that pressure from building up from inside? Because you're not just a parent, you're a wife, you are a member of your community, you also have certain other jobs to balance or some work that you engage in, you have aging parents. So I'll just read out. When I see you sit across the table, I want you to feel my support. I want to convey my willingness to listen to you with empathy. Conveying my unconditional positive regard is at the core of my arsenal of therapy tools, helping you unravel unseen skeins of confusion. It is my goal to help you feel lighter and stronger. So, what I recommend is whatever makes you feel lighter and stronger. Do you have a safe person like that you can vent out to? Because once you sound off, see, like you and I are talking, you know what is actually pulling down your spirit, that spark in you, which knows how to balance. Like I'm sure when you first moved out of the country and set base in another country, it was extremely difficult for you. While some things were absolutely great, some things would have been challenging. But the day you felt you could cope up, don't you think you started managing things well?
Absolutely, absolutely. And in my own personal life, I think it was just balancing motherhood with having a full-time job and being out of the house and getting accustomed to this whole routine of childcare, dropping the child, dealing with the paraphernalia of running a household, accountability and responsibility on the job front, and then all this maternal guilt. And
Yes.
still being married and having a marriage to nurture as well. So I think that was one of my practically speaking, and even emotionally speaking, I think, a very, very difficult phase to adjust to.
Yes. So, in fact, like you said, a simple tool that I want to share with everyone is drawing a pyramid. I need to make a hierarchy of my needs. Naviksha, I request you to get a paper and a pen if you have in front of you.
Sure, sure. I will grab something that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, right next to me. So I hope
Yes.
this works.
So what works? Yes, absolutely. That's good. I want you to draw a pyramid with 5 layers, you know?
Artistic abilities, right? I can follow instructions. I can do that.
Yeah, yeah. You can draw. You can put it on your table and draw. It's not a
Yeah,
problem.
pyramid with 5 layers.
Yes.
Okay. One, two, three, four, five.
Perfect. So
Few.
I want you to start with the bottom of the pyramid.
Okay.
What we are going to do is when we are actually trying to balance between various roles that we play, what we need to do is actually know what is bothering me. At the bottom of the pyramid, I want you to think about physiological needs. I want you to think about what are you worrying about. I'll
Me?
break down.
Me?
Yes.
Yes, but
Yes.
I'm very grateful for this exercise. All right. So
Okay.
physiological needs. Okay, things that worry me in general.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So basically, physiological needs are our basic survival needs. Am I worrying about something that I eat, the kind of food that I eat, my food habits, my nutrition? Then it's about, the kind of house I live in. Am I really worried about it? That is it being met? The kind of clothes I wear. Do I feel that I need to get into a particular size? My clothes are not fitting me that well. So any of these issues with your basic food, clothing, shelter, is it there at the back of your mind at the moment?
So, Pragati, to be clear, are these needs or nice to haves?
Right now, anything. You may feel
Anything?
it's my desire, you may feel it's a
Mhm.
need. That's for you. You have full
Okay.
freedom to interpret it the way you want. If you're constantly thinking about something, then it's not
Yeah.
just a desire. At some level, your thoughts have interpreted it to be a need.
Okay.
The purpose of this exercise is actually to think about what I look at as a need. Is it just a
Yeah.
desire?
Yeah. All right. Let me know if I'm on the right tangent here. So I'm not happy about my quality of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Time management, just keeping everything together, especially in these COVID times, a full house, a job, homeschooling, a kitchen that's operational 24 by 7, a puppy in the house. So I'm just not effective in keeping everything going and managing my time. And I think that spills into my sleep as well. A lot of it is just me. It's not that I completely get it. My family is helpful and they're all trying to pitch in. A lot of it is just me trying to be a control freak and do things a certain way, etc., etc. But I think the repercussion is that I struggle with managing time. I struggle with my sleep cycle. And then I worry about fitness too, to have enough time to, go slay my fitness goals.
Fair enough. So we will come to how to tackle it later. Now let's
Okay.
move to the second layer, just
Okay.
above the bottom layer.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what is it that is compromising your safety at the moment. Do you feel that some safety is compromised? Like financially, are you feeling insecure? Do you worry about the neighborhood you are in? Are you worried about safety of anyone else who's important to you? I want you to note it down. Don't judge it. Oh, it's too small, it's too big. How can I think like that? Anything that where you feel that my safety is in question.
All right, Pragati. So in general, I think I am very concerned about the general environment in my country where I live in. Maybe it applies to the world in general, but definitely in this part of the world, Safety to do with general violence, ammunition,
Mhm.
gun control. I worry about those things in general.
Mhm.
Also now, coronavirus, I mean, keeping our family and our friends and near and dear ones safe from the virus. So that is again another concern. Not overly bothered because we are taking good precautions and we are being careful, but that danger does loom out there. I'm a little concerned about, family and parents living in a different part and very far off from us, geographically speaking. So a little concerned and worried.
Mhm.
And then thirdly, I'm quite unaware. I don't want to say imprudent. I'm just not informed. I have completely delineated all those responsibilities to my husband. So I think it's more a gap, not so much of worry, but maybe the gap could be cause for concern that heck I know nothing.
So, see, now here, as you've written it down, the next step would be like, let's say, let's just take finances. What can you do about it? Perhaps, you can write what will make me feel better. It could be a
Mm-hmm.
half an hour conversation with my husband once a week, about finances, would take care of it. Now, even about, let's say, something like gun control. Are you a policy maker? You're not a policy maker in your country. So, how is it that you can feel better about it? Do you want to write a letter to the senator? Do you want to write to your to just on a national forum or address it, or do you just want to let it be because you feel that while it does not make you feel comfortable, it's a cause that you do not want to take up? So when you break things down, what's going to happen is it does not collect as worry in my head, because all these things actually add pressure when we come to day living.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe I'm cooking a meal, but if I have so many things at the back of my mind, what happens is I just burst. Like if somebody does not appreciate my cooking, maybe I'll snap a lot faster. But if I realize, oh God, I'm carrying so many things in my head, then I know that yes, for some of the things I can do something, but some things are way beyond my control. If I'm not a politician, is it worth it my time to worry about things? So when I hear about it, does it help that I write down, I journal, I talk about it, or I just need to let it go? Because it's just cluttering my mind. So why we are making this pyramid is to see which worry can be tackled, which worry can actually be soothed out of my mind, which need, like you rightly pointed out, like sometimes it's just about not finding that time to communicate about an important aspect in life.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that yes, I need to create that half an hour because it just keeps playing on. After that, we move into our love and belongingness needs. Somewhere, am I feeling neglected? Maybe by my significant other, by my other relationships, or by my community in general. Am
Mm-hmm.
I feeling loved enough? Or somewhere, am I feeling sidelined?
All right, this was fairly easy. So I feel very fortunate and grateful that I find myself very rich when it comes to the quality of love that I not only that I give but that I receive as well from friends and family. So knock on wood, that is one of my riches in life.
Okay.
But how can this area improve? I feel again that again maybe a lot of it is just my own personal accountability
It could be
that there's
self love.
not
Somewhere,
enough time. I think there's not enough time to celebrate that love as a family or as a couple. So I think we need more us time and more family time. And my boys do it. I'm the one who's siloed out because I'm so busy trying to multitask and I have so many balls juggling in the air at any given point in time. I think I am personally spread too thin. So while my boys hang out a lot together, the two our two boys and my husband, I think I am siloed out, and they let me know also that I don't hang out with them enough or I don't spend as much time. So I think that just celebrating the love that we have as a family, I can do better. And again, maybe that's more my responsibility and not because life is not being fair or they don't care. I already have the clarity to see that it's something for me to action. That is one thing, a better quality time together as a family. And then
So I want you
socially,
to, Naviksha, I want you to, after we finish off the session, I want you to go over your pyramid again. Like I explained for the safety need, I
yeah,
want you to think about it. Since it's there at the back of my mind, could I just squeeze out 15 minutes a week maybe to start off with? Can I do something? So, baby steps, because we all have a lot of aspirations and responsibilities. Much
yeah,
as we want to reach for the moon, sometimes we can't. So would that 15 minutes make me feel better? And we can keep tweaking it. So if I'm in a habit of making a weekly pyramid like this, I kind of know what all am I carrying at the back of my mind. Where are my thoughts getting jumbled up? And at
mm-hmm.
least I can keep ticking. Okay, last week I worried about this, but this week I'm not worrying about it. So that sense of self-love is generated. This is what I could do. I'm not being able to prioritize because sometimes we take certain things for granted, and that's fine. Like we take it for granted that we'll be healthy and we will be well nurtured, at the end of the year. We just take things for granted, and we need to do that. That's where trust comes in. That basic sense of
Yeah.
anchoring life comes in.
Yeah,
Next
the idea for me here was to chat with you about what you do and this book that you've written, but I'm thoroughly enjoying this exercise because I'll tell you why. Pragati, this is compelling me to actually think through clearly about my feelings and to really soul search. And this
yes.
might not be something that I do actively or with awareness, So I really appreciate this. Thank you. And while I'm at it, the other thing about your lack of love, well, I did so good this COVID phase, and I'm sure I'm not alone here. So a lot of social reorganization and decluttering has happened.
Yes.
So now with this new configuration, social
Yes.
configuration that I
Yes.
have, I feel extremely loved.
Yes. True. So next we move on to our esteem needs. Do I
Yeah.
feel valued enough? First by my own self, then by my family and the community that I'm there. Do I feel I'm doing something of value, on a regular basis? So once all these four levels of pyramid, if I introspect, then I reach the point of self-actualization or being the best that I can be. A lot of times I can't be the best that I can be because I'm pulled down by all these thoughts which are jumbled up in my head. So when I write it down, like you've seen it, when you concretely write it down, you feel, hey, I can cope up with this. It's not so bad. It's just cluttering my mind. Or this is something which needs my immediate attention because it's really, really challenging. So, this kind of a stress control or a stress management method actually helps you juggle your various duties better, and it gives you a sense of personal responsibility. Because as a therapist, what I help people do is reach this point of personal responsibility. And with that thought in mind, I had written the book because a lot of times we feel, yeah, I'm managing my life pretty well. I don't need a therapist to go to. I don't even have the time. And none of my problems are so major. So what do I do? Then at that point, having a simple book like musings, makes you realize, hey, I'm introspecting. This is something which I could do better. Yes, I can take personal responsibility and then I'll cope. So how did you feel after doing this exercise?
I'm feeling far less overwhelmed. I'm feeling a
Yes.
greater sense of serenity and actually empowerment. I feel like, I have more control and that I am able to actually tackle all these things and they are not overwhelming me or overpowering me. I feel more balanced. I feel stronger and even like, more soothed.
So this is why I talk about the concept of emotional ability resources. Build up your emotional strength. Till the day you are on your deathbed, you are growing. Now, whether you grow into a wise person who's full of life, integrating all of life experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, because, as human beings, we've come here to learn certain lessons. We've actually here. So if we have psycho spiritual development, we actually manage all facets of our life. So that is what I bring to the table as a therapist, as a human being.
So can you share a couple of quick and simple and maybe concrete techniques that our listeners here today can take away with them?
Yes. First one is draw your my needs table exactly the way I showed you. The pyramid is easier. So first of all, draw the needs pyramid. That will help you weekly, if you do it, take stock of your thoughts. It'll help you catch your thoughts and make them helpful in your growth and in balancing your life. Also, for sleep issues, like you had recommended, I really recommend people to listen to some guided meditation, prior to sleeping. Anything, you have a lot of resources available. It could be a 5-minute one, it could be a half an hour one. So just relax your mind. Give yourself that me time filled with self love, where you actually soothe your thoughts. So once your quality of sleep improves, you will see your mental functioning really, really goes up.
It's amazing. Thank you so much, Pragati, and I can't wait to catch hold of musings and just enjoy that whole experience of reading it and learning from it, and hopefully also implementing a lot of that in my own life. Are there any client stories that you're able to share with us today?
See, I'm of course changing the names and the details and the age. I remember, in fact, just a few days back, I had this lady with whom I had a Zoom session. Her family member had contacted me because she would wake up in the morning and hit herself, and they couldn't understand what's happening. She was on medication, she'd been to the psychiatrist, and overall life seemed rosy. Relationships were good, the children looked after her well. And when we spoke about things, I realized she was feeling really guilty about something that she had kept hidden from her husband. So as we spoke about it, because of that guilt, she was getting into that self-harm mode. And as we spoke about it, she said that yes, she could speak about it to one of her children who was very supportive. And, so that if that issue came up, it would be easier for her to handle. She had a miraculous turnaround. Her child called me up a couple of days later, and this lady was in her 60s. That mama seems to be singing, and she's not lying on the bed the whole day and everything. So this is what works. If we address an issue that's bothering us, whether it's guilt about something or sorrow about something, we need to vent it out. Otherwise, our physical health suffers, and we may even get into self-sabotage mode.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And through these musings, you bring us actual hope to live our life with. I love how the name of your book resonates here.
Thank you,
Musings
Riksha.
that bring hope. And this is amazing, amazing knowledge, and in fact, so scientific and so implementable and so practical and so valid. I think, we, each one of us, can completely run with this and amalgamate this in our own lives, because hey, it's not just about existing. Life is about celebrating, and it is about infusing every moment with a feeling of liveliness and hope and action, and going through the lulls and going through the downs and going through all those low phases, and then resurrecting and coming up again and just flowing with the process, because life is, as you said, Pragati, life is not about stagnating. It is not about staying entwined in the past, but it is about moving and flowing every single moment. So if I have to flow, I can do that happily, with hope, with positivity, with a sense of purpose, or I can do it with regrets and anxiety. So the choice is ours. That was beautiful. Thank you so
I
much.
do believe my finishing statement to everybody watching us would be: have an issue, give ear to it. Give some emotional ability resource, something that builds up your strength, and you will actually see yourself transforming and getting the stars that you have always wanted for yourself.
Thank you. You've given us plenty of concrete and very useful material to think about. And my thought in this moment is that I'm going to repeat this exercise, drawing the pyramid for myself, exactly a week from today, and see how things maybe have shifted for me. And if I find myself progressing and in a better place, emotionally speaking, psychologically speaking. So thank you. Some very, very powerful, empowering thoughts there. And I, for one, am feeling really happy and much lighter.
Thank you, Naviksha, for having me here. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. Bye-bye.
Lovely. I can't wait to chat next time. Thank you so much, Pragati. Have a good one. And thank you, folks, everyone, for joining. And I hope you feel joyful and you feel hopeful. See you next time. All right, so I'm going to edit this. I'm going to clean it up. I think timing wise, we did good. It was about 30 minutes, which is good. Not too long. So can you send me a visual of your pyramid or something? And then
I'll do that. I'll send you a proper visual. Huh?
Yeah,
I'll
send
you
me
a proper
that
one.
and send me the cover of your book or picture of your book or something, and then
I'll
I'll
do that.
incorporate all of it. Acha, next thing.